Welcome to Faithful Film Fanatic. Today is part two of Coconut Daddy, where today, instead of us reviewing more Burt Reynolds films, it is just an interview and getting to know Coconut Daddy.
There's more Burt Reynolds films out there?
Yes.
Really? No, it's fine. I'm cool with that. I like my sunglasses over there.
I was so used to seeing you with your sunglasses. Now you look kind of different.
I need to grab them over there. It's a long reach for my headphones on.
No worries.
I'll just wear the glasses. I look smarter at least.
And a lot older.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
So, the man of many talents, what got you interested in wanting to start Coconut Daddy Productions?
Right. Well, we started a long way back, like I said, hit and miss. I started with Under Fantastic Recordings was my recording studio. So we had decided to do 5 YouTube channels. Toro Takanura was the one that was niche that blew up. So that was the start of it. And we were looking for a introduction to J-pop career and K-pop career. And with some young ladies, we had about 30 talented young dancers. And of course, we had a year to try to make some money. We went to Sony down Nashville. They weren't interested. And everybody thought it was a risk. So, when our time was up, I did what I could leaving. And then I went into news. And so we did really well there. We were monetized. And then YouTube said, no more. Unless you're Fox, CNN, you cannot give the news. We're not paying anybody to do the news. And so they said they took our monetization away and ended up back at Toro Takanura. And I said, we need to change things. A lot of the talent was getting older. So we said, okay, let's get together and create something new. So we came up with Coconut Daddy Productions. The reason why we went with Coconut Daddy was one thing is we had a large female audience prior. We wanted to go out and reach the male audience. And a lot of it too is to, like I said, my talent is older now. And so they wanted to focus on, more content, college age, I guess you say, more content. And so that's the reason why Coconut Daddy Production was born. And it is blowing up slowly, but it's getting there.
So, what got you of all the names out there, why did you choose Coconut Daddy?
Well, there was two things. Like I said, one of the talents I worked with was named Kiddo. So they had anime voice Kiddo, and we thought, wouldn't it be cool to kind of play on that? Like I'd be Daddy, and they'd be Kiddo. Another thing too was there's a term called con daddy. You go to the cons, so it's kind of play on that. Like I said, the daddy was very masculine, and we felt it was more comfortable with male viewers. We felt that we felt like what we did prior, we were basically what do you want to say when you segregate yourself from male viewers? I don't know how to say it. I felt like we were so anti-male that men were afraid to watch the channel and be associated with us. Adding this, I have more male compadres than I've ever had before that are more relatable to what we do. They're more supportive than prior to what we were doing in this way. And so, and like I said, it's been almost 2 years now. And so in that framework, we have met what we wanted to do, which is not not block the male viewers.
Right.
The problem is when you're dealing with a younger, like when I first started, I thought what we were doing was more for kids, and you get into a protection mode, and it's more strenuous than ever because you're meeting with parents and blah, 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 and all that kind of thing. And you want to make sure everybody's protected, their identity's protected, their addresses are protected, everything's protected. because although your target audience are children at the time, you still got those. And at that time, YouTube allowed everybody goes on, even a kid's channel. So we got to sit there and decide, okay, and what ended up happening is you were hurting a lot of people that were potential fans because you don't know the difference. So if there was, and then we had done some research, we found out that more men watch YouTube than women do. So when we're sitting there segregating ourselves from male viewers, we were hurting ourselves on YouTube. So adding Daddy in there and adding, like I said, when I told the dancers, I said, well, back when we were doing the other channel, I said, now here's how you come up with your name. What's your favorite anime character? Well, I like CL. Okay, what's your favorite dessert? Strawberry cake. Well, your name would probably be CL strawberry cake. Okay, so that would be for the female dancer. So when I came to do this, one of my favorite thing is coconut. I like coconut cream pie, I like coconut cake, I like coconuts. And then the daddy thing came from working with Kiddo all those years. And I think it did. And it really had a better response than I thought it was. Now, people around me were like not in favor because of all the but they've got kind of a dirty mind. My mindset's not like that. I think especially the men see it as like, well, it's a masculine it's a masculine per se name, and I'm a masculine person. I feel more comfortable around Coconut Daddy than I did the prior relationship that we had. And yeah, like I said, it's really working. I'm like I said, we split off into another channel to try to get the movie reviews over there and getting everything organized. It's going to take a while because it's a hot garbage, hot mess that we're working on. But yeah, that's kind of where the name was born. Was what do I like? I like coconuts, and Daddy, verifies that my pronouns are he, him, it.
Okay. And do you think I like the motto you have for your channel, who's your daddy at the end, but do you think having that is going to make more people have those dirty thoughts, or not really?
Well, with that, the who's your daddy was because, like I said, we had our old channel was kawaii. It was this and that's basically I like to think of us like a puppet show for adults. Like if you had a puppet show or like Bozo the Clown, they'd always say, I'm Bozo, and then you'd have a little chant back. And I think of us like a kid's show for adults. Like I want that
the
kind of feeling.
Version of the Muppets almost.
Exactly. Like when you come, I call it cereal eating content. Like the Mystery Science Theater was the last show that I'd get a bowl of cereal and watch on Saturday mornings. And I was 19, 20 years old. But that's that feeling of getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning with a bowl of cereal when you're a kid is like the greatest thing, because you spend 5 days in school and you're under things, but getting up in the morning and slapping that bowl down, pulling out that cereal and eating that cereal while you're watching Casper the Friendly Ghost or Super Friends or Amazing Spider-Man. That's the kind of feeling I want kind of people to watch when they watch our channels.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you feel like as you focused on male viewers that your channel has grown a lot more?
Yes. And that's the reason why we're dividing everything up. It is going up big time. It's like I said, you feel more open with your male viewers than before. There wasn't enough openness, and especially when our emails were from young girls, and it just, like I said, luckily I have young people to take care of that, but being my face out there, it doesn't help your situation out. Because, of course, I'm obviously there to be a protector, and I don't think that's a role that I was called to do. And I think when you get older, like I said, here's the thing, like when you're doing stuff for kids, it's easy to entertain them. Like you can take a nickel out of the ear. Oh, that's so cool. But when you get college student, you're more cynical. So you get a little bit more freedom of cynicism. And that's what I think the biggest thing is. You can be yourself. You don't have to be another person when you're dealing with adults. You know what I'm saying? It's like when you're dealing with kids, you kind of got to be Bozo the clown and put on the makeup, right? Right? You don't have to be that when you're dealing with adults. You can take the makeup off and you can just go in there and just be cynical about everything, and whether movies or cartoons or music, you just be yourself. It's like having your friends over and you're all drinking and watching a movie and y'all making jokes. It's that kind of feeling.
All right. What got you into music? What started you loving, having a passion for music?
Yeah, that started, and again, like I said, I hate your generation because you guys got YouTube. If I was 12 and 13 when I started and had YouTube, oh my gosh, no telling where my career would have been. Of course, I was bad, and as you get older, you get better at what you do. But my passion for music was, I think when you're a teenager, you always feel like you're the outcast. And music is always been that solace for a teen, especially a teenage boy or a teenage girl, because you're, worst thing about me is, raising in a small town, you don't fit in with the small town people, but you don't fit in with the establishment either. So music was a thing you could fall back onto. And I think that's the problem with having YouTube and all the social media, is you don't have that solace anymore. Like everybody can just go to their friends and rant and they feel good about themselves. Back in those days, you put on the headphones and you dreamed about playing electric guitar, or you dreamed about playing drums. And so the next step was going out and buying a guitar or buying a microphone and start recording. And then when recording equipment became cheaper, everybody in my block had a recording studio in their home. So it was just normal. And a lot of it is because of not being able to be socialized with, I don't want to call them norm people, but you were different. So everybody had their little 4-track or 8-track studios, and you'd go in there and record what you want to. And that's what created. And then, like I said, now you get a real job, then you're able to afford your own little studio and you start producing your music at home, and you talk to record companies and they start putting you on an indie album or whatever. It's a great feeling, and it does satisfy a lot of loneliness, and I like it. And the only problem is now everything's so easy to do, so you can come into that rut, and that's the issue that I'm dealing with right now, getting out of that rut.
You're talking earlier about J-pop and K-pop. What got you interested in those kinds of unique ways of music, interesting ways of music?
Well, after I received my recording engineer degree, I was looking for something to write upon. And I remember, like I said, I sat up at flea market, and I had the second winner of the Grand Ole Opry in our area. And I just watched them be dragged into the studio, and it was so depressing. And so at the time, the K-pop was becoming on the rise. 21 was becoming a big group. This is right before BTS was coming out. So I got introduced to 21, and I was looking for something to record. And one of my first people I got to work with was I saw Yukapon, but that relationship would expire like a year later. But there was more excitement there. Like, instead of girls being dragged in the studio, girls were running to the studio. Right. And the excitement was just addictive. It's crazy. Like I said, you look at the BTS fans, they're amazing. But like I said, I'm not big into the music now as I was. I'm back to roots, what my roots are, but that's business. I knew I didn't want to go the country music route. I didn't like country music. So it was like, well, J-pop, where you got girls running into the studio, kicking the door down, or in K-pop, or country music, where the moms and dads are dragging them in the studio and hoping 10 years they're going to get a contract with Nashville. So it was an easy choice for me. A lot of people said I shouldn't do it. It was too big of a risk. But I said, life is about risk. I mean, what have I got to lose? Because my other option was going to Iraq and riding in a convoys again, getting shot at. So I thought, let me take a break from getting shot at. And so I did. And I'm glad I did it. I mean, I'm sorry that it didn't work out. But life is a gamble, it's a risk. But I'm going to tell you, I had the most fun I ever had in my life trying to get it going here in America. But if someone said, well, don't you wish you would have worked for those country music stars? You don't realize what I went through. I remember picking a girl up in Mayfield, which is like 30, 45 minutes where we're at. And the girl was like, oh, I'm sick. I don't feel like, we're trying to get help and all this kind of thing. They just didn't have the passion and will to do it. Whereas like you open the studio doors to these young girls that were in J-pop or K-pop, they were like, I'm there. Let me be there. And they're like wanting to do it. I'm like, Yuka Palm was a special talent. She was underrated. Should have been in a contract before Becky Curl, which was the big signed contract at the time with the Cruel Angels and everything like that. Yuka Palm was far more talented. I have nothing but respect for Yuka Palm. If she watches this, I hope I love you and I still respect you still today. And I wish everything worked out fine. But when you go to Sony Warner in Nashville and the best talent that I thought in the business, they have no interest in you, then what can you do? It's like someone said to me, so, well, what if you try to sell country music to people who don't want country music? You would back off. Well, you're just going to back off. You're going to realize people in America are not going to accept this. And then another issue too is Yukapon wanted to go to Japan. I wanted to take Yukapon to America because I love America and I want to stay in America. I just got back from overseas. I didn't want to go to Japan. I didn't want to deal with their culture and the Akibira culture. I have a little bit more respect for the other cultures. The Akibira culture I don't have respect for because I disagree with their philosophy. And I wanted something to go to cons with. And Yukapon was probably the most perfect talent out there that could have been sold more to cons. But her desire was to go to Japan. My desire was to stay in America. And so with that, split, nothing go with it. And then with the Sony Warner not even wanting to go into contract because they didn't want to deal with it, because even Sony, who's a Japanese company, was like they did not want to share their music culture with America. I get this straight during this time. Nowadays, they're going to hashtags and they're trying to open up the territory in America. America doesn't want anything to do with it. British doesn't want anything to do with it. They've broken their ties off with it. Korean pop is probably the way to go. If you want to make money today and bring a culture of music to America, Korean pop would be the way to go because of BTS. But that's what happens. And then, like I said, with any gamble, there's a chance of you losing. And I lost. Right. That's life. But you know what, I don't regret at all. I got some of my best friends from there. Some of my best friends on it. I'll ride till I die with them.
I've never been to a Comic Con before. It's something I've always wanted to do, but I've never been. What are they like? What do you like so much about them?
Well, and again, now I'll say right now with conventions, they're love and hate. I'm more of a horror and fan. So if you said, okay, like I said, there was a horror convention, comic convention, or a anime convention, you said which one you want to go. I said, let's get in the van and go to a horror convention. I'd rather spend time with Doug Bradley and all those guys, the original Jason. I would have a blast. Sid Haig, bless his heart, and we miss you. And all those guys are, in a heartbeat. So when you're dealing, and then afterwards, you're able to sit back and have hot wings with Michael Barrymore from, trying to think of the Goonies, and people like that. No, I'm sorry. Michael Barrymore was from Weird Science. I'm sorry, John. He's dead, but Michael Barrymore from Weird Science or somebody.
I love John Hughes. John Hughes.
But those places are really fun. Horror conventions is for science fiction conventions and other ones. Anime conventions is like I said, my plan is to try to exit out there slowly and have my own people go out there. And try to figure out what we want to do with anime conventions. But basically, it's a place I feel with conventions, like as you get into what you're doing, you're going to probably have to go out there and promote yourself. And it's a great place to promote yourself. That's what I'll say about them. So it's not that I love doing them. It's ever free advertisement. That's what I'll say about them. Is like if you wanted to promote, Faithful Film Fanatic, get you a little table out there, hang out, cut business cards. At horror conventions, it costs maybe $25, $50. The most I've seen at a table was like $700 at an anime convention, and that's very rare. That would be a 3,000 to 10,000 convention, but I love the 150, 200, 300, 600 people conventions better because you get closer with them and you get to hang out with the celebrities a little bit. So it's a lot of fun with that. Fun and free advertisement. Think of it like that.
So you would recommend anybody who has a podcast or doing anything to try to get involved in local conventions as much as possible?
Oh, definitely. Because like I said, here's the whole thing. The reason why 90% I think people don't go to people's channels is they're scared of you. And that's okay because they don't know you. But once you go to a convention and you shake a person's hand or you get an interview with an actor of a movie or something and post it on your channel, people go to that. And I got an interview with one of the puppeteers of Jabba the Hutt on my channel. And once you do something like that, you're just complimenting yourself. Right. I'm more about the regular people. And then that's another thing too, is like, you go there, let me take a video of you. And they're like, sure. Okay. Say, now here's my channel. And you want to see yourself? Oh yeah, I want to see myself on there. And I go on there. Now, 10 years ago, it was a novelty. Like when I first started doing it, I was the only one doing video. Everybody else was doing photography. I try to stay away from photography as long as possible. But the videography, I was really the only one that was doing videography on conventions. And, I had cards then. Now I've got I have to have cards now. But yeah, I mean, they love the little interviews and seeing themselves on the videos once you edit them and all that kind of thing. So you feel kind of special. And that's the whole thing. Podcasters too, go out there, go to horror convention, get an interview with young Jason. He's at all the horror conventions. Hey, talking about, what's it like working on the Jason films? Well, I was only 10 minutes of the film, but let me tell you. Let me tell you about the makeup that Savini put on me, and so go because it's good way. And the thing is too, you sometimes when you go to a convention, you're at the line where you want to give up on your art, like you just don't care anymore, and it's like you're sitting there, you're in an elevator, and you're going, why am I here? Why am I doing this? And God says, I know what you're feeling. I know that you just want to give up and all this kind of thing. You walk out the door, it's some voice animator guy who's like got 1 million fans and you didn't even know the guy. And you look at him, you say, well, if he can do it, I can do it. And that's some of the things that's kind of the encouragement you get with it. And also too, you got to go by your demographic, pick which con has the best demographic. Comic cons is going to be your Avengers, people like that. Science fiction is going to be your Star Trek, Star Wars people. horror convention is going to be your John Carpenter and all them top people. And then you got the anime conventions are for young people. That's all I can say about that. And if you have a younger demographic, like I said, we had a younger demographic when we started out. So when we went to anime conventions, it was a good idea. With movie reviews, I think horror conventions and science fiction conventions are more what we need to stay with. And like I said, we're doing a separate channel for you cosplay people, so don't think we're going to be leaving it because I just made a deal with eBay. We'll talk about that, but we'll see how that goes.
What got you so interested in loving about horror?
Oh my gosh. I think a lot of it, well, I think it is one of them things where you feel singled out, and horror writers are that way. Horror writers are nerds. I mean, they're bullied and they write their bullies in their horrors. And you relate to that. And one thing I love about horror films, I'm not talking about the major ones a lot of times, it was the ones where you go get the movie and you're thinking it's something else and it turns out to be a really good story. Those ones I love. And that surprise you. Like, and when I get a guy who criticizes horror films, I was like, yeah, because you don't watch the genre. You watch the horror film genre, there's a diamond in the rough. And when you find that diamond in the rough, you get so excited. Good one is the Audition, a J horror film. The Thing, John Carpenter's Thing. Those films are special. You know, it's like you get into just, I'm not talking about straight Halloween or whatever. Halloween, of course, is a slasher genre, but then you'll get those films that were pitched like Halloween, but end up being better films than Halloween. You know, and I think a lot of it too is I've got time to watch them. That's another issue too that people want to do. People who are married, who, of course, I understand they don't watch horror films. Why? Because they got kids running around and they don't want to see the stabbings and the violence, and I respect that. But when you're single, and I think there's so much creativity. And number two reason is everybody does horror films that are filmmaking because you can't really lose money. It'll be flatline or it'll go up. You can always get your money back, or you can make more than what you put into it. So there's a lot of people out there who, it's like with Sam Raimi decided to do horror because that was in one that they knew they could profit with. If they got in a comedy, they didn't think they had the budget to get a major romantic comedy or regular comedy film and bring the money back, but they knew horror films would be staple that would always bring back a revenue, and then, you know, and they could find distribution all over the world. And with a horror film, it's kind of one of those things like Mr. Bean. It's universal.
So that actually explains why so many directors do have horror in their profile, because it's guaranteed.
Yeah, and it's like I said, it's one genre that never really goes out of style. I mean, it'll have its peaks. Like, like right now, romantic comedies are dead pretty much. So you can't put them, but at one time you could write a romantic comedy and it just would explode. Like, when the Pretty Woman phase came out, oh my goodness, people were just like, let's, how much romantic comedies we can do, blah, blah, blah. Let's have Julia Roberts be in there, blah, 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 blah. And then it peaked. Spoof movies, same way. It was big at one time, and then it kind of peaked low. Horror films, they got faithful fans. I think science fiction fans are the same way. In some ways.
And then, what got you into anime and cosplay? I feel like anime and cosplay go together really well. What got you interested in that stuff?
Well, yeah, like you said, it came with the J-pop thing. All the J-pop artists were doing anime characters, and that's what's so different from doing American music. I mean, here's the thing. Like I said, if I went to country, let's say if I did my life over and I went the country music route, you're basically, I mean, if you're thinking about it, country music artists are wearing a cosplay. You're not going to see Vince Gill wearing his cowboy hat and big buckle out to the Starbucks, but it's the same thing with the Japanese pop, is they're out there. But the thing is they're allowed to do a character that they didn't create and sing a song to it, which is kind of strange. One of the big pop J-pop songs was based from a anime, and that is another reason. It's kind of a marriage, so it went along with it. So it, like I said, the videography is where I want to stay. I didn't want to get into the photography. I felt like there was just too many liabilities there at first, and I'm glad I stayed away from it for a long, long time. But now that my artists are old enough, we can explore that a little bit more. And I feel like that's another issue too, is like I don't really have passion that much for, I would say, cosplay as say the cosplayer, but I do have a visual image of the way I want things. Like I said, I have probably two, when it comes to photography, I have two probably styles. Either it's going to be cute or it's going to be scary. And right. My real goal would be wanting to do more scary stuff because I'm more of a horror fan. Trying to find that model who's willing to dip themselves in fake blood and wear hideous makeup is hard to find. But I can always find that model who wants to wear a cute, fluffy dress